Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to take a few minutes to discuss a question that I get in one form or another fairly frequently, and that is when to start charging for your art. So really quick before we jump into the topic, I do want to mention that this isn't going to be a how-to pricing video, so I'm not going to advise on like what you should charge for what scenario or what type of work. But if you are looking for information on that, I will mention something that I've mentioned several times before, and that is the Graphic Designers and Illustrators Guild Handbook of Pricing and Ethical Guidelines. It's a very long title, but it's a great resource. It's about $30 US. You can get it on Amazon, and it has contracts, helpful just industry know-how, and examples of price ranges for different types of work. So it's something I have had for a few years, and I use it still all the time. I recommend it constantly. Not sponsored, just a really great resource. So if you are looking for specific information on how to price your work, especially if you're working in the industry or wanting to work in the industry, I can't recommend that enough. So dialing it back to the original question of when to start charging for one's work, usually what's behind this question, I think when people ask it, is that they're maybe new to the field, or they're a student, or they're a hobbyist hoping to transition into being a professional and curious about when they can start charging for their work. And overall, my answer to that is really simple. Always. You can, as soon as someone wants to commission you to do something or buy your work, or as soon as you want to offer it for sale, you should charge for it. Now, not exceptions, but the other things to consider as a part of that are that, if you are new to the industry, and particularly if you're still working on your technical skill set and, growing that, and it's maybe not quite where you want it to be yet, you may not be able to charge as much as you would like to. But I am a big believer in being paid something, even if it's not what you ultimately want to be paid in a few years' time. So just because you might not be able to make what you want to from a commission doesn't mean that you should just give it away. Some reasons I think that that's really important are client buy-in. So in my experience, because I have given work away, and when I started out, I did do some commissions for free, and I wish that I hadn't, because it is never a good situation when the client feels like they're getting something for free. This is counterintuitive to some extent, but they actually put less into it. So again, my experience, but if you're doing a commission or some kind of client project for free, then the client isn't going to take as much time to really explain what they want and to be intentional with their feedback and be respectful of your time, all of those things. So usually when I've done work for free, it started from what seemed like it would be, oh, this will just be a small project, so I'll do it for free, or I'll get exposure or whatever. And then the project just grows and grows and grows and grows because the client isn't willing to put in their time, their part of the project, because they perceive that they're getting, well, not just they perceive, that they are getting something for nothing. So even if it's a small amount, so say you have been contacted by maybe it's a family friend, or maybe it's a small business, and they say that they don't have much of a budget, but they want you to do this work, and you want to do it, you're motivated to do it because you're new and you're getting started in the industry. That's a pretty common situation. And the temptation would be to just do it for free or for the exposure or whatever, but I would really encourage you to charge something. So even if you're just charging at a baseline level for the supplies and a little bit of the time, say you would want to be paid $200 for a commission, ultimately, your goal is to get paid that, but you're in this situation that I just mentioned, just starting out with maybe a small business who doesn't have much of a budget, even if they can pay you $25 for the materials, you should be sure to ask for that. So I hope this is making sense, but basically I'm saying, just because there might not be much of a budget, or you're new and starting out and you're not able to get what you want to, don't give up on getting paid altogether. You should still absolutely ask for something. Now, I have a sense that there are going to be some people that really disagree with this, and I don't know how controversial it will be. I know because I belong to a lot of, or well, not a lot, I belong to several kind of groups of illustrators, and we talk and I see what other people say. And there are some people that really think that all illustrators should just start out charging market rate as soon as they get started, and maybe even if they're still in school or they're still kind of transitioning from hobbyist to professional. And I think that that's a great idea and a great hope. But in my experience, particularly if your skills are still shaping up and you're not quite 100% with your skill set, you may need to be willing to work for less initially to get some jobs and to get some client experience. So yeah, I guess the takeaway, or the ultimate point of what I'm trying to say is, yes, you may need to work for less, but don't work for free. What else do I want to say about that? So, oh yeah, some exceptions to when you could potentially work for free. One specific example for me, this wasn't like working for free, but it is giving away work. So I just relaunched my newsletter. I mentioned it a couple of videos ago, and I gave away a downloadable wallpaper as a thank you for people signing up for the newsletter. So if it's a situation where like you're doing a giveaway for your followers, or you're making a wedding gift for a friend, or whatever, obviously that's your discretion. You're giving away a specific product. Now, to me, the reason I would give a gift to a friend for their wedding or graduation or whatever, but I wouldn't necessarily do a commission for a friend for free, is because the commission is actually a lot more work. So even if you've created a finished piece, to me, if that piece was completely self-initiated, it was actually less work than working with a client to come up with something that they want. So that is a reason why I would differentiate and draw a line. So I would say, yes, I would give something away to a follower for a giveaway, or to a friend for a special occasion, but I wouldn't give away a commission. So I hope that makes sense. In another situation, when I do think it's appropriate to let your work be used for free, and again, this is specific to work that is already done, not to doing commissions, is if okay, how do I want to differentiate this? So a situation you may find yourself in, sorry, I'm backtracking here, but a situation you may find yourself in is having, especially if you do work that is appropriate for editorial, is having different blogs or maybe small publications contact you and ask to use your work alongside one of their articles. And that can seem pretty appealing when you're just starting out, because you can get some exposure that way. Now, this is how I would differentiate when you should insist on being paid and when you don't necessarily need to insist on being paid. So say someone is doing an article about interior design, or writing a post about interior design on their blog, and they want to use some illustrations that you've done of chairs. So those chair illustrations, they are supporting the article, the interior design article. So they're being used, they're being used to support this other person's content. In that situation, you should always insist on being paid. If your work supports the main content, then yes, you need to be paid. And again, even if it's not what you want to be paid, if you're new to the field, all of that stuff that I've said, you should still be paid something. The opposite, or a slightly different situation, would be if your work is the main content. So for example, this was a couple of years ago, I was on BuzzFeed, and BuzzFeed did just like a roundup of all of my work, and not all of my work, a bunch of my work, but the entire post was about me and about my work. So it sounds so vain when I say that, but my work was the content. My work was not in support of the content. So because it was a feature about me and my work, then I'm not going to charge them for it. And same thing, like I was in an art journal last year, DPI. It was, the article was about me and my work, so I didn't charge DPI to use it. So I hope that differentiation makes sense. If you can just think like, how is my work being used? Is my work the content, or is my work the supporting piece for the content? And if your work is the content, I'm personally am okay with it being used for free, because that is promoting you, and it's helping to support your work and get it out there. But if your work is in support of other content, then yes, you should be paid. So I think that is actually all I have to say on this topic. I feel like this, well, I hope it's helpful. I'm feeling like this was a very broad video that is touching on a topic that is actually extremely personal and individual to people's own circumstances. So I hope there were some valuable things in here for you. And if nothing else, that the takeaway is that if you are making work, you should be paid for your work. So yeah, I hope that is all helpful. And as usual, let me know if you have any questions. Put those in the description box, and I will see you in the next video.